I have seen people moving budget from third-party conferences into host events, right? Why do you think people are doing that?
When I look at an entire event portfolio for a company, both third party and proprietary events, it's always about using your dollars wisely. So it's how do those dollars get invested best? And when I think about that, a hosted event comes to mind in the sense of you have full control. You can
Mhm.
target your audience extremely tailored. You can create experiences specific to those customers, users, prospects, whomever the audience is for that event. And it just gives you a lot more room to create in a very impactful way.
I'm a believer in that. When you get to run your own event, you get to create this curated experience. You're getting the control versus third party. I think a lot of the complaints I'm hearing from third party and trade show side is that they don't like the sponsorships. They don't think that there's value in them. So there's all these things
Yeah.
that they want better touch points, and running your own event really does that for you. Let's talk budgeting a little bit. What are some efficient ways tracking, deploying, utilizing budget? That you're both smiling, so I feel like you have something interesting to say. So go ahead.
Go for it,
Uh,
Katie.
oh no, the Lindsay and I worked on an event together, or an event series together last year, where budget and budget management was a massive part of both of our jobs. And I think, like on a very technical level, it was tracked in Google Sheets. But I think one of the things that I took away from that very involved budget management experience was that communication and transparency were critical to the success of this event. There were countless stakeholders, both internal and external, who were utilizing the budget. And this was a series of international events. So it was in a variety of currencies, using different vendors around the globe. The internal team was using dollars for various marketing and other purposes. So there was being money spent left and right, as there is in every event. I think super tactically, Lindsay and I and some of the other key stakeholders were meeting multiple times a week, which might not be necessary, but was necessary for this program. We were meeting multiple times a week to review and sort of refine the budget. We had dedicated Slack channel for budget approvals so that
Mm.
every time someone needed to have Lindsay approve a spend, there was a little template that they would fill out, attach any quotes, and make it very transparent. So there was one Slack channel that we knew we could all go to for the latest numbers. And we had several roles dedicated internally, a dedicated budget owner who was making the actual updates in the spreadsheet, and a process that we had aligned on for once we got a quote in, then it went to Lindsay for approval, then the quote got put into the budget spreadsheet. It was a very involved process. Probably not all events need that involved of a process,
Mhm.
but the transparency and communication, especially in this case with just the scope of the program, was absolutely critical to the success of like managing that budget the way it needed to be managed.
We had very, very thoroughly built out a budget once those North Stars had been decided upon, and there were dollars allocated in certain components specifically to achieve those North Star goals. So as we started to execute, we started to get differing opinions from stakeholders, and there became new misalignment,
Mm.
or let's actually shift our North Star from here to there, which means we have to shift our budget around. And while it's always going to change, nothing from an event standpoint ever goes as planned. We all know that. We weren't opposed to change. I think it's really when it comes down to invest your dollars proportionally speaking in the areas that will deliver that North Star result for you. So if it's a branding moment that you're looking for as one of your North Stars of your user conference, then you're going to have a lot more of your proportionate monies going towards branding opportunities, be it a wow moment, networking, community events, whatever it is on site, the actual signage, that's what it's going to go to, which might not be the same when it comes to, a meetup for executive community. That's just not what they need. They would rather have a high-end catering opportunity. So it's really kind of understanding your event, understanding the strategy, and understanding how the budget should reflect that.
Yeah, and I think having those conversations up front, Lindsay, to your point,
Oh,
like
yeah.
when we say we are allocating this amount of money, for example, branding and signage, this is what that means. And these are the risks of not allocating even more, or here are the risks for, allocating less. And that was a big takeaway too, that like over communicating those line items, the budget and the risks associated with those line items in relation to the North Star and, what what is important to leadership, was key.
I mean, these are big budgets. These are big spends. Even if it's a smaller company spending $60,000 on a host event or something small, like a couple dinners. I mean, that money matters to executives. It should matter to the people deploying it. And I think what I'm hearing from you both is essentially, you're saying communication and transparency, right? So also investing the money into the North Star. That just screams to me alignment to executives. And then that, I think when you show process and you show alignment to the North Star with the money, then there's just confidence from the executives. It just becomes like, oh, wow, like they know what they're doing. They have full faith in what's happening. They're not asking a billion questions. It's not vague. It's not, there's no ambiguity floating around. It seems like a very dialed process when you get it to that point.
Yeah, and I think as it becomes a repeatable event year over year, month over month, whatever the cadence is, you start to be able to also pull on and lean on the data from the events. Yeah. How did that event perform to your North Star goals? And if you can show it in data, you're going to get more and more confidence placed in the events team, the budget, et cetera, for you to kind of continue to grow and evolve how you run those events.